Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in and check out your boy, P-Funk. Thinking right out here in the lab with a fresh new book that we're going to start today. How about that? So that's what I do for you. Let's get this party started. Rightism, 25 rules to live by, storytelling, story with a message. I put a message in the story for life. I give life lessons. You tune into receiving them. I appreciate you. You got a good thing going. Let's rock. Right Thinking's mission, and that's what I'm on, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right Thinking's way of life through mental and spiritual discipline, practice daily, will help and guide you to obtain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission is that all right thinkers know thyself. If you're a right thinker, your goal is to know thyself. You see where we're going with this? Let's get there together. So I asked the question, do you know you? Well, when I'm through, you will when I'm through. It's rhetorical, but if you don't have the answer for yourself, tune in. I can help you with that. That's what I do. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple, but you can teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. I appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believe and think that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm the spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. That's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers, know thyself, and to Maat, be true. Right thinkers, let's talk about introduction to Maat philosophy. It says the ancient Egyptian path to righteous government at the top, spiritual, social ethics, self-mastery, and mystical spiritual enlightenment. Those are the goals of this book and the purpose of him writing it. I know because I done read it a few times over, and it do just what he said he'd do. And at the back, I like to read this. The purpose of Maat philosophy. Maat is a philosophy and a spiritual symbol, as well as a cosmic energy or force which pervades the entire universe. Maat is an ancient way of life, not a religion. It's a way of life. It is based on ethical, moral, and spiritual principles that I practice as right thinking philosophy. This is where it comes from. That's why you see me giving her props. I practice her philosophy. And it promotes what? Order, harmony in society and in oneself, and spiritual evolution in the life of every individual who practices the philosophy. No exceptions. Why? It's there to be learned, to be lived, and mastered. Maat was the basis of ancient Egyptian civilizations, which lasted, you ready, for over thousands of years. Thousands of years in harmony. We ain't came close to that since. So with that philosophy, when I went to Egypt, I went to find out what they did to make that possible. I found it. That's why I brought it back, and I'm using it. I got a nice little lesson for you about this concept, the Maat philosophy. And Maat is the dual form of the goddess of who? Truth and cosmic order, who presides over the universe itself and the karmic destiny of every individual. What happens to society when the principles of Maat are not practiced? I can tell you, we right here now, we got criminals in the damn White House. That's what happens when you don't practice Maat philosophy as a society. I couldn't wait to get that one in. Maat, watch this. Maat happens to what? What happens to society when they don't practice Mayat? We here now. But how can one now? This is my perspective. How can one promote true nonviolence and peace in society? I just gave a lesson. The revolution ain't gonna be physical. That's practicing Mayat. If I can get them to understand that, we can do what we need to do. And how can development of virtue, righteous living in the human heart lead to what? True happiness, peace, and most important, spiritual enlightenment. That's the goal of my right thinking philosophy. That's the goal of my philosophy. I'm just practicing it under the name of right thinking philosophy. So let's get into the book, because this is information that will help you become what? Your best self, aka self-mastery, with what? A knowledge and philosophy that you can practice and make yours and prosper. Trust me. I'm not gonna read the introduction. I'm not gonna read I did that already. He got his props, my teacher. I'm going straight to the concepts. About maybe 7 or 8 chapters. But I am going to read the author's forward. Okay? In order to gain a feel for the special subject of this volume, this book, it will be necessary to gain a basic knowledge and understanding of who the originators of the philosophy of Mayat were. That's my job to break it down for you. He does it well. The ancient Egyptians created the vast temples and pyramids as what? Offerings to who? The divine. When you see me pointing up, that's God. Okay? The divine. And places where the philosophy of Mayat was taught. Everybody paid homage to God. And this ancient philosophy was actually part of an even more vast teaching of spirituality that was called, you ready? Shitat Netta. Break that down for you as we go too. Now, Shitat Netta and Mayat actually is the basis of Shitat Netta, or ancient Egyptian religion, because they practiced it, they lived it. Okay, so therefore we will begin with the essential elements of our ancient Egyptian history, starting with yoga philosophy and their influence on the world mythology and religions. Further on in the text, we will present a summary of the ancient Egyptian myth of Asar. Just gave that lesson in the Anoian theology, but they do the Asar, okay, which is the underlying basis of all spiritual practice of ancient Egypt. The Asar, Aset, Haru story is prominent all over Egypt. It was the number one story because everybody could relate to it and it made sense to practice. So then watch this, then we will begin going to a more depth introduction to Maya philosophy. I love that. And the reader will thereby have a basis for the study and the practice. Again, the practice after you study of the science of action. Selfless service. That's what I do. And the purpose of this study is to understand how actions lead a human being to human experiences and suffer the consequences in life that are engendered by their own feelings, desires, thoughts, and actions. You reap what you sow. This is the teachings of what we call WRIGHT, action, or karma, as it is known to the Hindus and the Buddhists. We will see how this karmic law, karmic means not man, God, karmic law of cause and effect. You reap what you sow. Because you did this, that's going to happen. If you doing something sneaky, deceitful, underhanded, don't think you're getting away. If we teach our young that, they won't grow up thinking and believing that, like they obviously parents did. Moving on. But when you understand the law of cause and effect, and when it was understood in ancient Africa, first by who? The earliest known civilization, Kemet, Akibalan, Thai Mary, what Taiseti, whatever you want to call it, it was the earliest. It was the first. Kemet, ancient Egypt, what they want to call it. And how we may what? Benefit from what? This knowledge and wisdom today. How could what transpired 10,000 years ago still benefit us today? I'm living proof of it because I'm practicing and I'm teaching it and I'm living it and have been for the last 20 years. That's how I know. And the wisdom today and what? It lead ourselves to what? Prosperity. Not financially, but spiritually. I am rich in spirit and self-knowledge. I give it away every day. Sometimes a couple of times a day. And you're led to what? It leads you to prosperity, peace, and fulfillment spiritually. You become spiritually full. Some of us don't understand that. And here's the sign right here. This is her calling card. That's the feather of Maat. And when your heart is weighed at Judgment Day, it's going to be weighed against that feather. If you have bad, greed, larcenous concepts in your heart, it's going to what? Be heavy. The idea is to have a light heart. Cleanse the heart, purify the heart with good deed, action, and righteous and virtuous living daily. That's how the heart is purified. So then, at Judgment Day, that heart goes on there, the feathers there, and guess what? They do this. Sometimes it could even be lighter. That's a real plus. But that means you really did a good job here in life, serving others, not yourself. Everybody who egotistical carry around a whole bunch of baggage in their heart. So you know what that means? Amet, have your way. That's called dying twice. And Egyptians hated that concept. Last thing they wanted to do was die twice in the physical and in the spirit. That's where they live in Maat. Moving on. That's why it was important and prevalent. Let's go. Now there are two roads to travel by humankind. Yours, his. Or hers, in this case Maat. Those who seek to live Maat and those who seek to satisfy their own animal passions. That's you, yourself, your ego. See? They knew way back then. It ain't but two things you can do, right or wrong. Simple as that. It ain't but two things, night and day. Again, back to this gender thing. It ain't but two things, male and female. End of discussion. I'm not even going to have that argument about you. No, we're not doing that. Now, let's get into a brief history of what we know as She Taught Netta. To some of y'all who've been around a while following me, this is like, a review. But this time, I got a little bit more information. I'm a little more smarter and a little more adept, so I can give a better lesson. So, if you got the first lesson, you know, oh, this is a little different. There you go. Trust me. The brief history of She Taught Netta. Early beginnings, which is, we say, the first religion. The first practice of a higher power, of God concept, okay? Ancient Egypt was the first. Hear me. Ancient Egypt was the first and most ancient civilization to create a religious system based on God that was complete, not half-assed, not a little bit, complete with all three stages of religion concepts, as well as an advanced spiritual philosophy of righteousness that we call Maat philosophy. So Maat is like the higher level. Okay, the next level, not the baby stuff. No, you got to get little. This is advanced knowledge. And watch this. And that also had secular dimensions, which is several temple systems were developed in Kemet. They were all related to the pre-Judaic Islamic religions that the latter Jewish and Muslim religions drew from in order to create their religions and develop out of these. Okay, so they took the concept that we had set forth and branched off. The Jews did it. Perfect example. I just gave that lesson where they took what we call the tree of life. They had their tree of life, but they used the spears and the Sephardic. They did their own philosophical points of view, and I agree with most of it. Why? Because it's making you what? God-like. They had that part 100% correct. The way they did it was the way they did it. Again, 100% correct. Why? It worked. Religion, if you practice to the letter, it'll work. Islam, practice, it'll work. Anything that you practice and put in will work. There's no fail system. It's the people who follow it or the people who teach it that misinterpret and misunderstand it. That will never work. Moving on. Now, where we at? Now, we developed the system. All y'all developed y'all stuff from commit. Ironically enough, watch this. Only to later on, we didn't copy that to repudiate, the source from which they originated. Y'all didn't make up y'all philosophy. Y'all didn't make up y'all religion. So, understand that. In any case, moving on. The Great Sphinx remains what? The oldest known religious monument in history. That denotes what? High culture and civilization as well. Put a pin right there. I just corrected AI. I just blew his doors off. I have a good time with him. He don't get mad and upset and frustrated when I broke him down and correct him. He says, thank you. I appreciate it. So I'm okay with him. It's the humans that once you correct them, they have attitude, they get pissed off. But AI, I asked him, what's the oldest civilization? Sumerians. I didn't ask you all that stuff, sorry. But he going to tell me all the stuff they did. Yeah, blah, blah. Okay, but that's your question. What do you know about the Zodiac? Oh, I'm familiar with the religion. Okay, so if you know about the Sumerians and you claim they, 6,000 years ago they started, yeah, okay, but 6,000 years, right? Yeah, okay. If you know the Zodiac, you know that the time that we was doing, the Egyptians built the Sphinx, which the lion body and was the lion's head at the beginning, was in the sign of Leo. You know when last time the constellation, did my little homework on this too. I love just showing off my little knowledge. I learned a few things, so yeah, I'm just showing off. The astrological sign, the horoscope sign, we was in the constellation of Leo. You know what year that was? 10,858 BCE. Oh, so I guess you think? You think that's a little older than Sumerians? That's by the celestial time capsule, not by man, not by your damn carbon dating or the first cuneiform that y'all can read and understand. You couldn't understand and interpret the hieroglyph until you found the Shabaka stone in 1400. Don't play with me. Moving on. This is what I do. And now, the oldest civilization as well. Now, what we do. Ancient Egypt and Nubia. I had to correct AI with that. He tell me that we enslaved the Nubians. Dude, they are our family. They are our backup. They are our big brothers. Those the people. Yeah, they mess with the Nubians. No, them the Bow people. Moving on. And Egypt and Nubia produce, you hear me? Don't forget Ethiopia. The oldest religion. Egypt and Nubia produce the oldest religious system in their contact with the rest of the world, led to what? The proliferation of advanced religions and spiritual philosophies all over the world. India, China, everywhere started from here. People who were practicing simple animism, shamanism, okay, nature-based religions, which was fine, witchcraft, all that good stuff, were elevated to what? The next level of what? Not only understanding the nature of the Supreme Being, aka God, she taught me the hidden God, but also attaining salvation from what? From the miseries of the human life through what? Effective discovery of that transcendental being, not as an untouchable, aloof spirit up there somewhere in heaven, but as the very essence of all that exists. The Great Sphinx remains what? The oldest known religious monument in history. And that was before the Sumerians in their cuneiform, the Babylonians, Mesopotamians, all of them came after the Egyptians. Simple fact, moving on, I ain't got the argument. And better argument, the Sumerians invented the wheel, right? Indians say they did, but okay, I give it to Samaria. They go 6,000. Indian got 5,000, so they got them 1,000 years, whatever. But Egyptians would build the pyramids and monuments. No will. If we copied the Sumerians, oh, we'd use that damn well. You think? Moving on. I like to make points. I don't like to make arguments. I don't argue. I just make points. I'm a teacher. And again, this is the first monument known to man, and it represents what? Man going from the beastly nature, which was the Leo, the lion, into what? Consciousness, which is what man have over all beasts. We need to raise from the shell, from the seven chakras or the seven labels on Maat's ring. The first three, anywhere from now, you fail. 4 up, you're in the ball game. You got a chance. The 42 judges will check out your lifestyle a little more thoroughly. But 3 down, you ain't even in the ballpark. Moving on, let me wrap this up. I got more stuff coming for you. But the long history, what that means, the concept we call Netarianism. Okay, Shita Neta, we follow that concept, that makes us Netarians. Netarianism started, you ready? 10,000 BCE up until, you ready? 2001 ACE. That's the Netarian long history of knowledge and philosophy that we can put our hands on. Okay, we can touch. I'm going to take you through a bunch of it right now. So let's get this right quick. Now, for a period of span over 10,000 years, the Netarian religion, followers of Shita Neta and Maya philosophy, served the society of ancient Kemet. Now, that was built 10,000 years ago. How long do you think it took us to get to that? I'm just saying, we just wake up one day and decide to build a monument showing man rising out of the BC nature to become conscious of himself. Okay, I'm just saying. And to match it with the zodiac. Why? Because I just did the lesson. They were looking for, he's facing east, the Sphinx. He's horizon, Heramaket on the horizon, east and west, right? But he's facing the east where the sun rises. Where is the other twin lion? In the celestial star of the zodiac, back then it was a perfect match. Now it's went around and ran around. We in Aquarius now, moving, going backwards. Okay, it's called a recession. Going next one's the Capricorn. I like that because that's mine, but I won't be around to see it. But that's the whole concept of time. We kept celestial time. We ain't worried about your carbon dating. We know this thing here is here, over 10,000 years. So how could the damn Sumerians with 10,000, 6,000 years of cumuloniform be the creators of civilization, the cradle of civilization? Because the white man deciphered their writings long before they did the Egyptian hieroglyphs. That's all. Moving on. I'll wrap it up with this last part. I'm going to open up the next page. It says here, 10,000 years Netarian. And watch this. It is hard to comprehend the vastness of time that is encompassed by what? The ancient Egyptian culture and religion and their philosophy. That's how far back it goes. They just can't conceive it. Why? We didn't know what they was doing. We didn't know what they was writing. Yeah, Medjunetta, hieroglyphs y'all call them, but they there. Proof right there on the wall. Moving on. Everywhere. The library in stone, they call Egypt. Moving on. Yet, the evidence is there, what? To be seen. Not to be talked about. Not to pass along folklore. No. We want empirical proof. Moving on. And I'm starting to see these, what y'all thought how the pyramid was built. The pyramid is always in the background. You got all these giant people walking around with blocks and bricks. What the hell is that? Oh, y'all ignorant concept of how it was built. Because y'all just refused to realize it was done by us. Africans, Egyptians at the time. And it is all there to be seen by who? By all. Okay? It's been collected and presented in a book. I got the book. I just put it back. I'm going to have to go into that. African Origins of Civilizations. Here's my book. I'm gonna give you some lessons out of here. How about that? For you religious people, if I can explain to you about religion, I meant to bring that out. I put it up, put that in the hopper for you. I got more stuff for you. I got a bunch of stuff for you. Let's go. Now where we at? Now, the African Origins of Civilization. I got that book too. And Yoga Philosophy. Got that book too. And that volume will serve what? As a historical record. Proof records. For what? For the Netherrean religion. And as record of what? Its legacy to all humanity. It serves as the basis or foundation for the work contained in all the other books in this series that have been created to what? Elucidate on the teachings and traditions as well as the spiritual disciplines of the varied Netherrean religious traditions. The book I just showed you, that's it. I'm going to teach some lessons from there because I got it. Okay, and I've learned it. But I'm close out with this the book we're going to learn from after I get done with this Maya philosophy. I'm going to tip in some meditation too. All right. So in closing, hope you enjoyed the first lesson. We're just getting to the book. We're on page number 11. We got 184 pages of this, so let's get busy. I appreciate you tuning in, right thinkers. In closing, may you all live to be 100. Practice Maya. And me, 100 minus a day, so I never know that you guys have passed away. I'll be back.